Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Tuesday, June the 11th. Starting off with what people are talking about this morning, Department of Player Safety, and it's been quiet so far. Doesn't mean it's going to stay quiet. It usually does, but since there's an extra day before the next game, they may be waiting to know the status of Barkov. At least that's what Greg Wyshynski is speculating. And that's what we have right now is just speculation. I don't know if Draisaitl's going to get suspended. I haven't heard anything for Ekblad either, and I'll talk about that in a moment too. But it's definitely really heated up. All this discussion during the final already. We're 2 games in. This is where the series can get really ugly. And so we'll see if there's any fines or suspensions. As I said, it looks like there's probably going to be a fine for Draisaitl unless Barkov's going to be out. Maybe there'll be a suspension, but again, we haven't heard anything as of yet. I do get notifications on my phone as soon as Department of Player Safety tweets anything, so we'll see. Again, Barkov's status being unknown for the next game. That's a huge unknown for Florida. The one thing is Florida does have a lot of depth, and if they're playing without their captain, they're going to play angry. And Florida plays pretty well when they play angry. And I'm not talking about dirty. I'm not talking about like running guys. Like I kept seeing people last night, like, oh, they're going to run McDavid. Oh, they're going to run Draisaitl. I'm not sure why people expect that since it doesn't happen. And it especially is not going to happen in the Stanley Cup final. You don't want to risk getting suspended trying to send a message and miss the Stanley Cup final, right? You don't want to miss the Stanley Cup final for any reason. So I do think they'll play angry. I do think they'll be aggressive. I do not expect anything egregious like a two-hander across the side of the head kind of thing. I just don't see it. The games are too important. During the regular season, maybe, but during the Stanley Cup final, nah. Even the ugliest Stanley Cup final back in 2011 between Vancouver and Boston, when Nathan Horton got hurt, Boston rallied around it. And as ugly and as dirty as that series got at points, we didn't see anything like horribly egregious in that series after. I'm not going to try to say that both teams didn't have their issues in that series, but anyways, that was the 2011 final. That was also a final where the Canucks had a 2-0 series lead after winning both of the first 2 games at home and lost 4 of the next 5. So you just never know with the playoffs. Carolina, the reason I'm wearing a Canes jersey, they're going to name Eric Tulsky the official general manager. He's been there in the interim general manager role since May the 24th. So promoting from within, there's already discussions about whether or not he's going to have the final say on things or if Tom Dundon's running things. But either way, Carolina's had success in the regular season. And they've been good in the playoffs, not necessarily great. They're trying to get over that hump in the playoffs. So keeping things on a similar path going forward makes some sense. So getting back to the Oilers for a moment here, they got goalied in the first game. Bobrovsky steals that one. We all admit that. But what's interesting is they did get outplayed last night. They absolutely did. Florida straight out beat them. And now everybody's like, well, after the first 2 games, the Oilers need to be better. The Oilers were better in the first game. Bobrovsky stoned them. And Nurse, his status for the third game is unknown. He played a grand total of 4 minutes. Approximately 4 minutes last night. And if he's going to be out, Chris Knobloch's already said that'd be a huge blow for the team. But we'll see. Now, there was a lot of talk last night, and I didn't really... I mean, watching the game and having seen it all and watching replays and everything, I didn't think much of the whole Bouchard being choked by Ekblad thing. Guys get in headlocks all the time. And this motion, so you get the arm here, and I didn't see that it was under the chin. I don't think that Bouchard was in any danger of actually being choked out or, falling to the ice and needing medical attention. But that's not a tap out. That's in hockey, we watch all these scrums all the time, and we see these guys, they lock up. And when you tap the guy's arm, it means, all right, I'm done. It's done, I'm done, that's it. It's not I'm giving up. It's just, all right, no, it's done. I'm good. Just, and then the player will let go. That's all I see with this. So if you're tapping at an arm that's right here, it's sort of a, no, let's just not and say we did. But I don't see it as tapping out. That's why I've got in my opinion, because I just don't see it that way. But I've seen that video getting played and, oh, Ekblad should get a major suspension for that. And it's like, for a headlock? We see headlocks all the time in scrums and in hockey games. And again, Bouchard didn't miss a shift. I didn't see it as being this horrible, egregious choke. And again, this motion to me wasn't I'm losing my breath, I can't breathe. It was all right. We're done. I'm done. Bouchard had a rough night. Defensively, he had a rough night. It's one thing with Evan Bouchard. He really is very much offensively minded as a defenseman. He does have his defensive miscues. And there we are. So, anyways, you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I also saw a comment about, oh, he can barely contain his joy that the team that beat his team is getting knocked out. Yeah, both teams in the final knocked out teams I cheer for. Do people actually think I really have a vested interest in who wins in the final? If Edmonton wins, I have endless videos during the summer on, hey, first Canadian team to win, and let's compare it to this. If Edmonton loses, I do the video on, well, still no Stanley Cup for Canada. And then Florida gets to win after knocking out Boston. And again, yeah, Edmonton knocks out Dallas and Vancouver, but I don't. I've admitted to people if I didn't have a channel, I wouldn't be watching the final a lot. I'd probably be tuning in here and there, watching a few minutes here and there. I wouldn't really necessarily care. So this idea that I have some unbridled joy at what I'm witnessing, no, not really. I'm just calling it as I see it personally because yeah, I don't have an emotional interest one way or the other. Again, from a business perspective, it's probably better for the channel if the Oilers win. But if Florida wins, that's their first ever Stanley Cup, and then that leads to other video ideas throughout the summer too on teams that have not won their first Stanley Cup yet. And hey, look, Vancouver's in that video. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And again, if Department of Player Safety does send any kind of message out, I'll be here to talk about it. And yeah, so let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.